something huge is happening right now. It started on the battlefield, sure, but it's moving into our own neighborhoods, and fast. We're talking about a new generation of smart, autonomous drones that are completely rewriting the rules for everything from warfare to 911 calls.
So, how is this even possible? Well, it all comes down to one pretty shocking number. The cost of putting sophisticated eyes in the sky has dropped 100-fold. Just think about that for a second. What used to cost millions now costs a few thousand. I mean, this isn't some small improvement, it's a massive leap that creates a huge imbalance of power and really changes the very nature of conflict. For a lot of us, the war in Ukraine was a real eye-opener. We saw, in real time, how warfare was getting transformed. This wasn't just about tanks and soldiers anymore. Suddenly, it was all about these swarms of cheap, smart drones. And this is where the money side of things gets, well, really interesting. Our traditional military hardware is incredibly powerful, but it's also staggeringly expensive. So what happens when your opponent can launch a drone that costs a few $100 at a billion-dollar warship? You've got a huge problem on your hands. That right there is asymmetric warfare in a nutshell, and drones are the perfect tool for it. Okay, so to really wrap your head around this new kind of battlefield, you need to know about the two main players in this whole story. The soldiers on the ground have these nicknames for them: hunters and killers. They're two types of drones with very different jobs, but man, they work together perfectly. All right, let's break this down. The hunter's job is simple: find the target. It's packed with all kinds of sensors, and it needs to come home in one piece. But the killer drone? Yeah, that's a one-way trip. It's basically a flying bomb, built to be as cheap and disposable as possible, and designed to destroy whatever the hunter finds. It is an absolutely devastatingly effective combo. I mean, the tech they pack into these hunter drones is just incredible. They've got thermal cameras that can see in total darkness, optics that can zoom in with stunning detail from really far away, and GPS that can pinpoint a target with amazing precision. It gives soldiers this god's eye view of everything, something that honestly felt like pure sci-fi just a decade ago. But, of course, right, for every new weapon, someone's working on a new defense. So this has kicked off a kind of invisible arms race. It's a battle fought not with bullets, but with signals and software. And the number one weapon in this invisible war, it's called jamming. The goal is super simple. Just flood the air with electronic noise to either cut the drone's connection to its pilot or completely scramble its senses. So how exactly does that work? Well, there are two main ways. First, they can attack the drone's GPS. They either block it outright or, even worse, they spoof it by sending fake GPS signals to trick the drone into thinking it's somewhere else. And the second way is to just go after the comms link itself, flooding the radio frequencies with so much noise that the operator can't talk to the drone anymore. So, how do you fight back against that? The answer isn't just make a stronger radio signal. Nope. You have to make a smarter drone. The solution is AI. Giving the drone the ability to think for itself and finish its mission, even when it's under electronic attack. So an AI-powered drone can actually use its cameras to see its way to a target completely without GPS. And if its radio gets jammed, the AI can just automatically hop between hundreds of frequencies a second until it finds a clear one. And look, this isn't some futuristic idea. This is stuff that's been developed and proven on the battlefields in Ukraine. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds like something happening in a war zone halfway across the world, right? Well, here's the crazy part. This exact same battle-tested technology is now being deployed in our own towns and cities. And believe me, it's growing fast. So let's take a look at Skydio, one of the top companies making these drones. You'd think the military would be their number one customer, wouldn't you? Well, you'd be wrong. Over half of their business is with public safety agencies. The biggest market for this tech isn't the battlefield, it's your local police and fire departments. This is a textbook example of what's called dual-use technology. The very same AI and flight systems designed for war are now being used by over 1,200 police and fire departments here in the US to save lives. Let me give you a real-life example of just how powerful this is. There was a shooting at an apartment complex in Colorado. When the 911 call came in, dispatch sent police, of course, but they also sent a drone. And here, this is the game changer. The drone got there in just 30 seconds. 30!
Seconds. Before the first officer was even close, the drone was already there and it saw the gunman put his weapon in his pocket and go back inside his apartment. I mean, that is absolutely crucial, life-saving intel. So because the police showed up already knowing exactly who they were looking for, that he was armed and which apartment he was in, the entire situation was over and done in 5 minutes. Just think for a second how that could have played out differently. A long, dangerous manhunt, putting officers and residents at risk. The drone gave law enforcement a massive advantage. And it's success stories exactly like that one that are pushing this tech to the next level. We're moving away from the old model of a pilot flying a drone manually to a future where a 30-second response becomes the norm, and it's all thanks to automation. So here's the big shift. The old way, well, it was slow. An officer has to grab a drone, drive to the scene, find a safe place to launch. It takes time. The new way, it's instant. The drone lives 24/7 in a self-charging dock on a rooftop. A 911 dispatcher just clicks a button on a screen and boom, it's in the air and on its way. You're basically creating a public safety network of flying robots. And the numbers really back this up. These drones that live in docks, they get flown 10 times more often. It makes sense, right? When you take away all the friction and hassle of deploying them, they become a go-to tool. And that means more emergencies get resolved safely and quickly, just like that situation in Colorado. So I'll leave you with this quote from Skydio CEO Adam Bry. He basically says that in just a few years, when you call 911 in the US, you're going to expect a drone to show up in 30 seconds. That is a fundamental shift in how we think about public safety. A technology that was forged in war is about to completely change what it means to be a first responder. So the only question left is, are we ready for that?